Yeah, man. Welcome to the Lives podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Melanin Perspective series. This is the Lyfe podcast. This is your host, CJ Alton, once again. And this week, of course, we have an amazing country to review. I have a great guest on here. So I'm going to introduce her. Her name is Shanice. Shanice, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to get right into it, right? Tell us where you were born.
I was born in Barbados.
Barbados, okay. And where specifically did you grow up?
I grew up in Christchurch, so Christchurch is at the bottom of the map. Right now, I would say we are kind of pushing that republic, becoming a republic. So we're known as the Republic of Barbados, but I was born in little old Barbados in Christchurch, Churchill, Christchurch.
Church, churches. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Describe your family household. Like, how was it growing up?
Chaotic, extremely chaotic. So everybody used to be in the house, from my aunties to my uncles to my cousins. So it was literally a full house.
Mm,
And you always got the children playing throughout the house. You always being around gran. And I would say we were always with our grandmother most of the time
mm.
growing up.
So, did you grow up more like along like the beach side, or is it more like countryside that you grew up in?
Yeah, a little. I would say a little bit of both because where we live, we literally just have to like walk down the hill in order to go to the beach.
Mm,
But if we just walk up the hill, we will get to the main roads to go to
mm.
town or other places. So it's
Okay.
kind of in between.
Yeah. I mean, it's relatively a small island. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think anywhere you live almost in Barbados, right? You can reach the beach.
That's if you're not in the country like St. George and then kind of places. But once you're on the outskirts, like St. Lucy's, Christchurch, those kind of areas, you're gonna be close to the beaches.
Getting a little bit into the education side of it, right? Just kind of describe, just summarizing like your experience in school as a child. Like, was school something you enjoyed, or was it something you did not enjoy?
Well, you see,
Hmm.
growing up, I had red hair. Let's just pretend right now I have orange hair. I'm a little girl in a predominantly black primary school. I was teased a lot because of that hair. It was called the Eki Becky. It's speckled banana because of the freckles. Like once you had that color skin and that kind of hair, you were teased.
Hmm.
But eventually I learned to lean into it. Eventually.
So you eventually got used to it. So what color is your hair? You say your color is naturally like red, like reddish
Like a
orange.
orange, kind of like copper, like a
Hmm.
orangey color.
Interesting. So what color am I
A
looking
little
at now? Is
white.
it the same orange type of color, or the more like blondish
It
brown?
right now is more of a mixture of dark brown and blonde because I started to dye it and bleach it, try to hide that red tone.
I
Like
see.
I
I
said,
see.
it came a long way to trying to love that color hair. Now I miss that color hair.
Because it's
I
unique.
miss it. Yeah, I miss it.
Wait, so can you ever get back to that?
I have no idea. I trying to get back to the color that I originally had, but it's not working out. So I'm gonna stick it with the blonde for now.
Okay, I got you. So, speaking of school, what was your favorite subject? This episode is sponsored by the Life Network, where we focus on melanin history, culture, and wellness. Please support our products that represent history, culture, and wellness. We have king and queen shirts that represent our history and the greatness that we have in our culture for thousands of years. We also have confident shirts that give a message of positivity and bring value to our self-worth. We also have Confianza shirts to represent the Hispanic and Latin community to bring together Black and Brown unity. You can find our products on 2 different platforms. 1, our website, and 2, Etsy.com. Our website, Lyfe, Lyfe -network.com. You can also check out Etsy and type in The Lyfe Network. If you have any questions, we do have a number available on our website, so please feel free to contact us today with any questions. So support us today and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Art, of course. I absolutely loved art, especially in secondary school. The art room was always the place to be. Our tutor made it literally like a second home. She is now my art mom. She's not my second mother.
Okay. Because art is something that you love, right? That's just something that you want to
Yes,
professionalize.
please.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So tell us about a little bit about that, like your passion in art. Like how did that start and where are you now with that?
It actually started in primary school. And once I got into secondary school, around like third form, is when like my teachers were trying to push me more into it because they realized I actually had a talent for it. So from third form to upper sixth, and then I went to college, and now I'm finally done, and I have my bachelor's in studio fine art.
Congrats. So that officially worked out for you.
Yes, please, thank you.
Good, great. Okay. So with that, art is your favorite subject. What was your least favorite subject?
Math.
Math.
It will have to be math. For the life of me, math used to hurt my head. Mm-mm.
You know how to
Yeah, math.
count money though, right?
If I,
You know how to count money?
yes, I know how to count money, but it's when they started to do all of the different integrated math and uh, it started to get complicated. No.
What about your history class? Like, do you remember history growing up? How
We didn't really have much history classes. We did have like Caribbean studies, but even with that, it started to like dwindle down. When I say dwindle down, I mean like we only had that class for like a year or two. Yeah, probably 2 years to do Caribbean studies. But other than that, we never really did history classes.
wow. So when I ask you if these history classes reviewed any kind of African history, well, what would you say?
Not really. They would have given like the basics, the slave trade, how everything went down, but not deep African history. The only time I would say we got that kind of education was when I finally got to BCC and we had like those classes introducing us to like different African artists, different African trades. That's the only time I can fully remember being
Yeah,
taught about African history.
I see. Okay, so just basic level type of stuff.
Yes,
Mm,
unfortunately.
I see. Okay. So with some of this stuff in regards to like Bayesian history or Barbadian history, which word do most people use? Is it Bayesian or Barbadian?
Legion.
And Bayesian is usually what they go with. Because I know they use both. I've seen both, and I'm like, which one? But in regards to like Bayesian history, then what was like the narrative? What did your teachers talk about?
Basically, our national colors, our national flower, national dishes, things that we would do around like independence, like make conkeys, that sort of stuff.
Did you ever talk about colonization?
Yeah, briefly.
Wow. Okay.
Briefly.
Hmm.
That was like an in-depth conversation. From what I remember, what stuck out to me was they always said Barbados was the most obedient. That is the one thing that stuck with me from that
Oh,
class.
wow. That's interesting. I guess
Voice.
I guess obedient compared to Jamaicans. Because yeah, we we weren't having much
You
of that.
guys had some place to hide. We did not.
But you know, I am interested in something because I noticed and I recognize something about the island where, you know, I see white Bajans and I see black Bajans, and I've heard things about gated communities and things of that nature and segregation almost Does Barbados currently have what you would call a racist issue on the island?
100%. When I say that, I don't mean like when you come here, you're gonna blatantly feel it. You're gonna feel rejected or whatnot. It's more like slightly coloring. Like because we are such of a tourist-oriented country, a lot of our focus is pleasing tourists, doing that hospitality industry. But when it comes to different skin tones, once you're red skin or a little lighter, you would get certain treatment or certain attention opposed to being of a darker shade. That goes back to when I was smaller and had the brown skin with the freckles and the orange hair. Like
So how
I don't
does
know
that
if I could tell you
happen?
this.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, but how does that happen when you have black politicians? Like,
That is a very good question. I can't help you with that.
I guess before you became a republic, though, I guess you were a democratic state. So meaning like England was still basically had a stronghold on Ireland.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe that's how it has played a role in the colorism. I did want to get more into the culture of Barbados and more specific, like the Afro culture of it. Can you like describe some things about Black culture in Barbados, like whether that was in school or whether that was like in your household, like things you celebrated? What does that look like in terms of Black Bajans and the Afro culture there?
Like, how would you describe it? To give me an example of where to start.
No, it's a good question. When I think of like Black culture, I think of even Jamaican culture, I think of like certain celebrations, like
Mm-hmm.
Independence Day festivals, or I know we both do like carnivals,
Oh, crop over.
crop over, right? That kind of thing.
Okay. All
I mean,
right.
explain a little bit of that. Have you been to crop over, or have you seen, heard about it? Explain what is
I
crop
have been to
over.
crop over. I'm not a person who likes a lot of noise, but I have worked at crop over. It's usually a very festive and exciting time. Everyone is coming, jumping up on the road, dancing in their costumes. It's very much of an enjoyable time. That's what I can tell you.
Mm.
People love it.
Yeah, they come from all over the world and travel in during the
Yes.
festivities. All right, so you never put on the costume.
No.
I want to get back to the school thing, right? Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned a little bit about slavery, but did you ever learn about specifically anything about like African American slavery? That's
No.
nothing, huh?
No. No.
Mm.
No, we did not. Well, personally, I do not recall ever having a class teach me about that. Maybe because things are changing now, maybe they're gonna teach children now about that, but not in my time.
If I even go to the stretch of talking about ancient Egyptians and Egypt, did they teach you anything of that?
No, they did not. It, you have to be in like tertiary level because only in tertiary level is where we got a broader understanding of different cultures. Personally, this is just from my point of view. I don't know if things have changed, and because only recently I was told like they're starting to learn Mandarin in secondary schools and stuff. So maybe that is happening now, and children are learning more about those cultures now.
So you said,
But
what do you pronounce that? You said third tier?
third year,
Third year. Third year, as in, what does that mean?
uh, like in secondary school, you have first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So first form is 11 to 12-year-olds, and then it goes up. And around fifth form is 16, 15, not sixth form, fifth form. And that's when you choose to go into either sixth form or college. It's mostly suggested that you go through sixth form instead of transitioning straight into college because it is like doing CAPE. It helps with that transition.
What would you say is, in your opinion, what are some of the issues with the education system in Barbados?
I can only speak about my experience at my school,
That's all I need.
which wasn't up to par. That's the problem. They just build the schools and leave them there and expect everything to be willy-nilly. That's not how this works. You don't check back. You don't make sure these grounds are good enough for these students. I had to send in multiple complaint letters about our environment. It was really, really bad. And this was around examination period. And things only got done like a day before our big exam. Kind of lackadaisical, if you
Mm.
understand what I mean.
Yeah, just I mean, I think you pronounced it the right way, right? Just kind of lax, kind of laid back,
Yes,
not
very.
not like competitive, not trying to create, the greatest
No,
um outcome for its students.
no.
Mm,
They would claim that because we have these high percentages of graduates in these certain degrees, especially nursing, that the school is doing excellent. But you don't know what is happening behind those doors. Nursing and other departments were getting like paint on their buildings. Their buildings were getting refurbished. Meanwhile, the art department was suffering. Our buildings were falling apart. There
yeah,
is a real divide. If you are not in a program that the country sees to be profitable, you're not gonna get that attention.
yeah. So, is it safe to say, for the most part, did white
Mm-hmm.
Asians receive a more
Yes.
equipped education than black Asians? You answered it already. Say it again.
I say yes, but it's also we have a system where there are certain schools we have deemed more esteemed than others, and those are the schools that get the most benefits. So even if there are a majority of, even if it's a mixed population of the darks and the lights and the whites, once you are in that category that they hold high, you're going to get that attention. Apparently, this is only apparently, do not take my word for it, but this is what we have been told. There was once upon a time where my college had both. Like it was a mixed college. You had darks and whites. You can't even find one. One. You can't find one
Let me
white
see.
person in high school anymore. I don't know why.
So it's
It
completely
was
segregated. Is that what you're saying?
they will mostly go to UE. Like the University West Indies will mostly go to UE instead of BCC.
Ah, okay. 'Cause I'm familiar with UE because Jamaica has its own UE. So
Yeah.
with an online platform, something where you can use Zoom, come on here and see different presentations or whatever, would you be interested in learning more about African American history?
Yes. Yes,
Mm,
I would. I honestly would. Because in art, I still need to know more about other cultures in order to create. I don't really want to keep this picturesque view because that is one thing I would say, thankfully, that was pushed in our art department, not to have this picturesque view of like Caribbean islands. So definitely,
okay,
that
cool.
would help tremendously.
Great, good. And then would you attend Black culture courses and African like culture courses where you get to learn more about the actual motherland and that culture on that side and learn about Egypt and all the art that they've
Yeah.
created?
Yes, yes, yes. You speak my language, yeah.
Cool. And then I want to ask you this. I really want you to try and think of it, right? Take your time. How can African Americans and people like me in America that look like me, how can we help out Bajans more, just all around in any aspect of life? Like, how can we help and contribute to the island?
If we are not willing, I really don't know how to answer that because I personally can't think of a way to get Bajans to want to learn about that type of heritage or that type of culture. Because it's like bringing the cow to the water and expecting he to drink it.
I see.
You can lead the chief, you can lead them there, give them all the information, but are they going to be open minded to take it? That's the question. So I
Mhm.
can't answer that. I
Ah, I
can't.
see. I see. That kind of draws in another quick question because I'm trying to figure out because sometimes I feel like Jamaicans are in the same space, and I had this
Oh,
conversation with a cousin of mine. He lives in St. Anne, but we had a good conversation about just Jamaicans and like the consciousness there and like their willingness to like want to strive and be something and be somebody where it lacks. And it's all the fancy things and the cars and the jewelry and blah blah blah. But is are you saying that Barbados and the people there, and just generally speaking, is it are they kind of similar to that? Like you feel like they're not striving to be something great?
I would say not striving to be something great. They are more looking towards, I don't want to say popularity. They want to be the best in like that hospitality area. They're contented with just tourism, not exploring other aspects the island can provide, like small businesses, helping like arts and crafts, not really keeping that culture alive or in culture intangible heritage. They're not really doing a lot on that front. So I guess there's a kind of closed mindedness there.
Yeah, I see. So they're kind of focusing on one industry and just trying to
Yeah.
maximize.
Yes. And that is mainly one of the things that were pushed in the art program to not focus on that aspect of being a Barbadian. We
Mm,
are more than just sand and beach. Do something about that.
right. Be more open-minded. Okay, good. So with that, let me ask this last question. Let me ask, how can how can we unite more then? I mean, what do you have to say about Black unity with Barbados and the rest of the world and Black America?
I'm pretty sure currently we were trying to get ties between Africa, but I'm not sure. Do not quote me on this, please, please.
Mm,
But I think that is still in the works because what our prime minister is trying to do is open up our country to other countries like China and Africa, that sort of thing, to get more cultures, to like get in this melting pot.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for explaining your experience, explaining your school experience, the culture within Barbados. We appreciate it. I'm sure someone's gonna learn something about this small island. And I hope I can get over there soon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.